We did a research study about how different genres of music and how they affect reading speeds. And Annabelle and I did the final project together.
So I'm Annabelle. I'm a sophomore majoring in advertising management.
And I'm Sami, and I'm a freshman, and I'm majoring in elementary education. And the claim with our study that we'd like to investigate is if different genres of music will make a person read slower or faster when listening to music and reading at the same time. And we thought of this idea because we heard a claim on social media post that rap music made a girl read slower, and we wanted to know if that was actually true.
So the first background research that we discovered was a research study between reading performance and extroversion and the favorite music genre of a person. And his study findings demonstrated that if the music genre was like the favorite music genre of the participant, it is more likely to improve the reading skills. And then it was also found that background music has no influence on it, or it does have an influence, a negative influence on a task performance. So this study directly related to our hypothesis saying different genres will affect reading speed.
And then we also found some uh, background research that reading while listening to music can have a huge impact and can help you be more into a book, taking a deep breath and kind of just relaxing and enjoying that book more. And the research has shown that listening to music genres while reading a book can also improve your cognitive development, which is really important. And it can also help you better understand the text. So, vice versa, if you're having a loud, distracting environment, it can take away your focus on trying to read a book. And putting on some music can help block those distractions, which could also help you read faster and understand the text better. And then some key points that I got out of all of that information was that music while reading can promote relaxation and help distractions, which helps you focus more, and it improves cognitive performance. And this also directly relates to our hypothesis saying that music genres can affect reading speeds.
So the last background research that I found was that a study that said there's no statistically significant correlation between participants' music taste and the quantity of right responses they provided, like from the story when they were giving questions to answer. That doesn't directly relate to our study, but it does show that it suggested that music preference doesn't influence the ability to answer story questions accurately, and the participants' music tastes and their like correct number of responses is unrelated. So this kind of refuted our hypothesis of there being a connection between the genre of music you listen to and a reading speed.
And then our research question that we came up with our study is, do listening to different genres of music affect one's reading speed? And then our hypothesis was the genre of music can affect how fast a person can read a passage while listening to music at the same time.
So, how we collected our data was we conducted a study with 10 participants, and they were each tasked with reading the same one-page passage called The Gulls of Salt Lake from DePaul University. So, during the reading, two participants per group were exposed to one of the five different genres of music. So, we had two samples for each genre. Um, and we measured the amount of time taken by each separate participant to complete reading the full one-page passage in seconds. And then we can analyze that data to determine how different genres affected people reading this passage. And then on the slide, these are some pictures from the collection of our data and when our participants were reading them with the different genres of music playing.
And then for the method two slide, what statistical analysis did we use? In our research, we decided that it was best to use standard error analysis, and it'll help determine the reliability from all the reading speeds for each genre of music. and by estimating how much these samples would vary from the actual population's mean. And this is super useful if you want a comparison between genres and see if the difference is statistically significant. And then our sample size was 10 females who all had similar reading scores. And then we had two people per genre. And all the songs with the genres that we use are listed below on that question. And then what steps did we take to reduce bias and confounding variables? Well, our two variables being compared are the different genres of music, which we use jazz, rap, country, classical, and rock. And the reading speed was how many seconds it took to read the same passage. And then we will control them by asking the same questions and using the same specific songs for each genre. And then also using the same passage that we found from DePaul University.
So this is our data table that we made in Excel with all of our samples that we collected. So for sample 1 and sample 2, you see the two different samples per genre and then 10 altogether. And then the next row down is the average. So it's the mean of the two samples for each genre. So we didn't have to plot both two samples for on the graph. We could just do the average, so it would make more sense and be more correct. And then the next one down is the standard deviation. So it's the measure of the variability or the spread of the two samples. And then we can use that to calculate the error bars on our graph. And then the next is the square root. And so this value, as seen below or on the slide, represents the square root of the number of samples. And so since there are two samples, the square root of 2 is what you see below. And then the next one down is the standard error of the mean. And this is the standard deviation divided by the square root of the sample size. So that is the one that represents how much the sample mean is expected to vary from the true population mean. So that's why we use the standard error. And then you can see this all in our graph. So all these error bars represent the standard error and illustrating how precise the average is. So the smaller standard error bars indicate more confidence in the average, like as you see, like the classical and country. And then the greater error bars indicate both higher average reading times, but also greater variability in the data. So if we were to do this on a bigger sample size, we would see that like rock and rap, as you see, are the highest ones apart, would be there would be more spread in numbers when we do this. And so then if the error bars are overlapping, which some of them do, it implies there might not be a significant difference between reading speeds. Well, if bars don't overlap, it suggests there could be a difference. So you can see that in the graph. And then to elaborate on that.
Yeah, just to kind of like go over what Annabelle just said more on paper, we have like a little bit writing about the graph breakdown with the different genres of music and how they affected reading speeds. And then to get more specific, the error bars represent the standard error, which illustrated how precise the average is. And then the smaller bars that we had indicated more confidence in the average, while the larger error bars suggest more variability. And then if the error bars of two genres overlap, it implies that there may not be a huge difference between their reading speeds, while error bars that do not overlap suggest that there's a possible difference. And then, for example, the rock genre has the largest bar and the widest error range, indicating both higher average reading times and greater variability in the data. And then just some overall results that we found from doing our graph on Excel was the graph shows differences in reading speeds across all the music genres that we tested, with rock showing the highest average reading time and classical the lowest, implying that listening to rock might slow reading times down or might slow reading times, so making the reading times higher amount of seconds. And then the significance of these differences depend on the error bars, like we stated earlier. When error bars for two genres overlap significantly, such as jazz and rap, it suggests there may not be a huge difference between their reading speeds when listening to these two genres. And then the non overlapping error bars, such as between classical and rock, hint that there's a significant difference.
So our original research questions was do different genres of music expect one's reading speed? And our original hypothesis was the genre of music can affect how fast a person can read while listening to music at the same time. And our original hypothesis was supported by the data that we found in both the table and the graph. The average reading speeds vary across genres, suggesting that the type of music impacts reading speed. For example, listening to rock resulted in the highest average of reading time, which was over 200 seconds, indicating that it could slow down people when they're reading. And then classical music had the lowest reading times, which was under 100 seconds, suggesting that it may have less of an impact on reading speed. So the difference between all of the genres, but mostly rock and classical, like I just said, highlight that the type of music can influence the reading speed. So our hypothesis was supported.
And then some things that we found after doing this like testing that we would maybe do differently was increasing the sample size of participants we used. And that can allow for more accurate information since we only did two people per genre. Maybe if we did some more participants per genre in the same song, we would get more accurate information. And then ensure participants are in a similar environment to minimize distractions or external factors like other people in the room making noise. And then we could also introduce a control group, and we could include a no music condition to compare how reading speeds differ when no music is played versus when different genres are played while they read. And then we could also collect information like age, the reading proficiency, or prior experience with multitasking to see if those different kind of factors influenced the results. And then we could also add in some more music genres since we only did five. We could definitely add in a lot more different music genres.
So thank you for your time, and we hope you enjoyed our research study. I had fun conducting all the experiments. It was fun to see all the people get a little nervous when they heard the different genres playing. And then these are all of our references that we used, all the songs and the background research and the passage.